Sextortion. It's a word that many of us might not be familiar with, but these coordinated social media scams involving nude photos are targeting our kids with devastating consequences. We brought you the story of Jordan DeMay from Marquette, a high school senior who took his own life just 6 hours after scammers from Nigeria conned him, then blackmailed him. What makes this story so unique is that investigators actually caught up with the 3 men who they believe did this, and that Jordan's parents are talking about this because they don't want any other family to have to go through it. Kimberly Gill, you traveled up to Marquette. You met with Jordan's family. There's so many layers to this story, and I can only imagine how difficult it was for his mom and dad to talk about this.
Really, really difficult for them. And they said it over and over how difficult it was for them to talk, but they feel like it's their purpose to do this now because they don't want to see this happen to any other child. And it's happening probably more frequently than what we know it is. These 3 men who are from Nigeria who are accused in this case, they feel have targeted at least 100 other children and young adults during this same time.
Which is staggering, and I feel that it's, I think, an education for all of us about what these scams can be. Let's go ahead and take a look.
That would have been his senior year. It would have been his last season at Marquette High School, but that smile right there was classic Jordan DeMay.
Jordan DeMay's parents describe all the things that made the 17-year-old special.
Jordan was a really kind individual. He was very social. He was inclusive with everybody. The kid dancing around the locker room, smiling. He played sports, was very involved in sports. He was a very compassionate young man with a future ahead of him.
Jordan's promising future and pleasant personality was the exact reason his family believes he was targeted in a social media sextortion scam. It only took a few exchanges on Instagram to change everything.
Did you know how much he used social media, or was it ever a problem?
We monitored his text messages for a long time. We monitored his usage, his phone. We set all the parent restrictions through Verizon and through Apple and everything that we could do. But as he got older, he was 7 weeks away from his 18th birthday. So at that point, it was like, you know, he's going to be an adult. He can make his decisions here. So,
can you talk about the day of the tragedy? What happened?
I had received a text message from Jordan that said, "Mother, I love you," which wasn't out of the ordinary. You know, it didn't set off any alarms in my head that he texted me during the middle of the night. But as I was getting myself ready and my daughters ready, I texted him back, and he didn't respond. And when he didn't respond, I knew that something wasn't right.
So she messaged me in the morning and just asked, "Hey, is Jordan at your house? Did he go to school?" So I got up and I peeked out the window and I saw his car in the driveway, which I thought was odd. So I'm like, oh, he slept in today. And completely not like him. I think he's only missed the bus once or twice his entire school age. So I went into his bedroom and I found him in his bedroom in his bed.
Jordan, just weeks before graduation and his 18th birthday, took his own life in the middle of the night.
I mean, you didn't hear anything out of the ordinary that night, or?
Unfortunately, I did. He shot himself at approximately 3:45 in the morning, and I happened to be up going to the restroom at the same time, and I heard the shot. It didn't compute with me. I was, in the middle of the night, half sleeping, and it startled me, and I thought about it for a second, and it didn't sound like a gunshot for sure. It was loud, and so I didn't know if he just kicked something over in his room or spilled something or whatever, and so I just went back to bed.
So you see that this has happened, there's a panic, but how do you put it together that it was something related to being bullied in the sextortion on social media?
So the people that were speaking with Jordan on Instagram, they sent one of the photos to Jordan's girlfriend at the time. And she contacted us and let us know, and we let the detectives know, and they took it from there.
The detectives discovered Jordan had been speaking to 3 men from Nigeria who were pretending to be a teenage girl, asking for nude photos of Jordan.
They were grooming him for those hours. Simple conversations, slowly progressing into flirting and into more sexual type conversations, and basically got to the point where he sent a picture of himself to her.
One of the men demanded money from Jordan, writing, "I will send these nudes to everyone and also send to your family and friends until it goes viral. All you have to do is cooperate with me and I won't expose you."
And when that happened, it was lights out. And that was a little after midnight. And then the tables turned and the extortion happened and the pressure, and they pushed him hard.
Later, Jordan wrote, "I'm going to kill myself right now because of you." They replied, "Do that fast or I'll make you do it."
These 3 guys from the other side of the planet came into my home, who was secured, while we were sleeping, and murdered my son.
He sent them $300.
I believe he sent him money multiple times.
How long was this going on? Do we have any idea?
6 hours.
Did you even know it was a thing? I don't know that I even knew that this was even...
Maybe way in the back of my head, but not to this extent where they are pressuring young kids, young adults, and asking for the amounts of money that they are. I had no idea that it was going to that point.
And that's why we're here, is I think we need to be the voice for the parents who either can't talk about this or maybe have some reservations about bringing this to the public. There's a lot of embarrassment in this stuff, but you know, in our case, this is the story that needs to be told, and people need to know about this, especially parents, because they don't know what's going on.
I can't save him, but maybe we can save some other kids by sharing his story.
That was a really moving story. What was your biggest surprise in all of this and listening to them?
I think my biggest surprise was how elaborate this whole thing is and was, and how quickly it happened. Jordan and his family, his father, they were getting prepared to go on a vacation. He had just gone to the Walmart and picked up some things for their vacation, was in a great mood. His father said goodnight to him at 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
And we know now that by 3:45 or whatever the time was that he got up, the father got up to use the bathroom and heard the gunshot, that in that short amount of time, that was all it took for them to groom him and to get him to take his own life.
Yeah, it is that 6-hour mark
Yeah.
that I just can't. And as parents, wrapping your head around where it went for a young man.
Yeah.
How did investigators, though, even track these suspects down? Because we think of scams that are happening from overseas, and it's kind of like, well, the money went, and it's really hard to find people.
Yeah. So the 3 men in Nigeria, they sent a nude photo to Jordan's girlfriend. And she knew that there was something wrong with this, because this was basically an open and closed case. The detectives came in, they saw that he had committed suicide. Of course, they didn't know why. But a couple days pass, and the girlfriend thinks to show this picture to his parents, and the parents took that photo to the detectives. And they started to investigate, and that's how they tracked this whole scheme down. By that time, though, Jordan had deleted Instagram and all other social media platforms off his phone. They still, to this day, can't find his personal computer. They feel that he probably disposed of that too, because it would have had any evidence. And what this really boils down to is, this is a kid who was the homecoming king. He was a stellar student, good looking. He didn't want to disappoint his parents at this time in his life, where he's about to graduate, he's about to turn 18. And he felt like he would rather take his life than to let his parents know that he had made this mistake.
Oh, there's so much
It's
pressure
heartbreaking.
here.
It's heartbreaking.
So where do things stand now with the 3 men who have been accused of this?
Yes,
who've been
so,
indicted?
so 3 men from Nigeria, which it's really remarkable that the Nigerian government is even cooperating with investigators, but 2 of them are brothers, Samuel Ogoshi and Samson Ogoshi. They're each in their 20s, and then Ezekiel Robert, he's 19. They are waiting to be extradited back to the United States. And the family, they feel like thanks to the relationships that the detectives with the FBI have with international organizations, they were able to get the cooperation of Nigerian authorities to extradite them back here. This will be a landmark case when it happens.
Yeah, because you said, of course, that they're perhaps suspects in almost 100 other cases,
Exactly.
but it's this one that they are going to be coming back for.
Yeah.
You know, we all want to protect our kids, and when I step back and I look at this and I hear Jordan's parents, you know, giving some advice on that regard. And that really is, I think, that the beautiful gift that they're able to give.
They really are. And let me just say this too. Something else that surprised me about this is that the number of parents that they said have reached out to them saying that a similar thing happened to them, or their child committed suicide and they never found out why. And they wonder now if it was a situation where it was a sextortion scheme and they never knew to investigate that. So that's another thing that's really surprising. But yes, they have made it their purpose to educate people about this. I mean, certainly we do stories on the news all the time about sextortion. It never dawned on me that this was happening on Instagram and just the elaborate scheme of this. They were demanding $1,000. He sent them $300 and they just pushed and pushed and pushed, wanting the rest of the money till they just pushed too far. So they have tips that they want to give to parents about social media usage. But again, he was just a few weeks from turning 18. So when you're almost an adult. Yeah, you know, but they took all the precautions when he was younger. They put, as you heard him say, all of the precautions on from Verizon, from Apple. They monitored his usage. Now, if they had to do it again, and they have younger children, they said one thing is don't let your children go into their bedrooms or in a secluded area with their cell phones or their tablets. And it really has made me think about how I will handle it with even my 4-year-old.
Absolutely.
You know?
Access, which is getting younger and younger.
Younger and younger.
And younger.
Even on YouTube, if I put my 4-year-old on something that I think is safe for him, he will click on something else and he goes down a rabbit hole just like this. And all of a sudden,
the curated things. Exactly.
He's watching something that, you know, is so more mature that he doesn't need to be watching. And just, it really is scary. And it is, as a mom, I remember the night we reported this on the news that they had arrested these men in Nigeria. And I remember driving home because since I've had children, Christy, the stories, they hit so much differently
they do,
now.
Don't they?
You know,
yeah.
Not that I was cold and didn't care before, but once you have children, it just you really carry it home with you. And I remember driving home that night after reporting it and thinking, how in the world did this happen? And I wanted to know more. And that's why I thought it was also important to go and talk to his parents and share this story with all of our viewers.
Jordan and I were going to go and get tattoos together after he turned 18. So I decided to still go ahead and do that. One of the things we always said or would write in cards to each other was love you to the moon and back.
Mom, what's the past year been like?
It's been extremely difficult without him here. For me, for my kids, I'm sure the same for John and his family. There's still a part of me that thinks he's gonna come through my front door.
Through their pain, Jordan's parents have found purpose, teaching children and parents how to be smarter about social media usage, which includes encouraging kids to speak up when they make a mistake, something Jordan may have been afraid to do.
That's the twisted part of this entire sextortion stuff, and that's why these criminals target these types of youth. A lot of times what parents do is we're constantly saying no, 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 right? That's who I am. I'm like, do not do this, do not do this, do not send pictures, this is my phone, do not do this, don't. What we don't do as parents is say, but if you do, you know, and so I'm trying to be better at that as a parent with my younger girls, saying, if you do this, it's okay.
Jordan, I'm still going to love you.
I'm still going to love you. I'm going to be mad. You're going to be grounded, but we're going to fix this. And Jordan was so willful and so poised, and he just, like you said, he was just in that position in life where he did not want to disappoint us. And he felt that the only way out of this thing was to do that, and they were pressuring him hard. They were telling him they were going to make him do this, you know, and it was just push, late at night, not thinking properly, and it happened.
Make sure who you are talking to on the social media platforms, that they are who they say they are. Even if you have some mutual friends in common, it still might not be who you think it is. You know, let your kids know it's okay to go to someone for help. This is much bigger than what you can handle. Just go to someone and ask for help. Your life is worth it.
We need to be better at not allowing our kids to be seclusive on their devices, meaning not in their bedrooms, not in the basement, you know, not out in the garage, not in the treehouse.
And that's a simple thing that
every parent can do. Yeah. Absolutely.
It is tough to sit and talk about the things that happened to Jordan that night and think about that our son is no longer with us. This is Jordan's story, and that's what motivates us to go out and tell it, to try and save someone else.
All right, so Kimberly, advice is one thing, but I think sometimes people look for laws on the books to protect our kids, and what's happening out there right now that could actually head something like this
Yeah,
off.
there is a bill that's being talked about. Actually, let me read it so I don't miss anything here. It's called the Kids Online Safety Act. It was introduced in the U.S. Senate just last month. Michigan Senator Gary Peters is a supporter of it. And I'll just read some of the key points here. It will require social media platforms to give minors options to protect their information, responsibility for platforms to prevent harm to minors, such as the promotion of suicide, eating disorders, and sexual exploitation, and require social media companies to do a yearly audit that assesses risks to minors. And those are just a few of the things. Jordan's parents would actually like there to be more. They feel so strongly that social media really doesn't even have a benefit for children. Like, you should be 18 to use social media is what they think should be enacted. It's almost like you need to be 18 or 21 to drink or smoke cigarettes or go to a strip club or anything like that, because our government is having a hard time keeping up with how fast technology is moving. And you think about things like AI, you know, it's only going to get
Oh, and those conversations are just starting. AI is the dumbest it is today. That's it. And it's just going to get smarter from there.
Exactly.
Yeah, there's so much here. This story is international.
Yeah.
I mean, you Google Jordan DeMay, and you see reports from around the world. And I know that after even airing your stories, I can only imagine the reaction that Jordan's parents are getting. How are they doing with all of this? Because advocacy is powerful, but it's also very difficult.
It's difficult. It's difficult for them to talk about it. As I said, they feel like this is their purpose. They've each, you know, pretty much quit their day jobs, so to speak. The dad works in real estate, the mom, they each have two younger children in different marriages. But they just want to talk to people, talk to schools, educate people on what happened to Jordan. They feel like that this is the way to protect people and fight for these laws that are going to protect our children. One of the things that I was really impressed with Jordan's mom is, even though she went through this and will never see her child again, she feels sympathy for the mothers of these Nigerian young men who did this. She said to me, a mother with two children, because two of them were brothers, they're possibly going to see their children be in jail for the rest of their lives for doing this, and that mother is going to lose her children. Now, granted, she would be able to maybe see them again, and I won't be able to see mine. But the fact that she had compassion for these men, the mother of these men who did this, I just thought spoke volumes. And there were so many times that I was trying to choke back the tears in the interview because your heart just breaks for this family. So.
And just really wonderful for them to share it with us, because
So
that
brave.
is not easy. And I think also the larger part of understanding for our kids and knowing that they can know it's okay to make a mistake, and that families are there for them. And of course, his family was there for him. But sometimes when our kids get going in a certain way and they don't want to disappoint us, it's also something for parents to look forward to.
Yeah, Christy, that was one of the biggest things that I had to choke back tears is when he said that. If he had to do it again, he would let his children know that even if you make a mistake, I'm still going to love you. Still come to me and talk to me about it. Talk to an adult, talk to someone. It's not worth taking your life.
It's never that bad.
Yeah.
All right, thanks, Kimberly, and we will be watching what comes up next. Sure. All right, thanks so much for joining us for a closer look right here on Local 4 Plus. I'm Christy McDonald. We'll see you next time.